Hey guys, I'm actually going to do a quick pop-in video here. I was expecting to be at the start of the regular season. As you can see, I have simmed ahead to September 18th. We're getting very close to the start of the season, and I had forgotten about this part, but we have popped up scheduling. So if you go back to our second, maybe our third video in the tutorial, you remember we called the AD. We talked about scheduling on the phone when we went through the toolbars. Well, we are at scheduling now. When we click here, here is our schedule. Okay. Now, the teams in gray are teams that are locked in. That's our conference games, tournament games, what have you. The teams in black, in dark black, are the ones that our AD just scheduled, and we got Campbell at home, and then a bunch of games at home, including Loyola Marymount, Clemson, and Arkansas on the road. Anything later in the season? No. Okay, so the reason I wanted to come here is because this is just something different you can do in the game. The AD does make the schedule for you. You have input on what type of schedule you're going to end up with based on that phone call that you make, if you do it. Just like any other part of the game, like with scheduling, I told you, with the recruiting, all I did was I just kept clicking the button without making any recruiting moves. It will continue to sim ahead and you lose those weeks. So you can certainly skip that AD phone call, but who knows what you're going to end up with then. So here we are. Now, week one, let's click on Howard. We've got them at home. If we don't want that game, we can check their prestige here, the conference. If we don't want that game, here is a list of teams that we can switch to. Now, what's odd here is away means this team will play an away game, meaning they'll come to our arena. If it says home, that's not a home game for you. It's a home game for that team. Okay? So you can see we have a home game this week. Every game that we could change would still be a home game for us and a away game for this team. So I don't want to play Howard that week. Let's say I want to play Texas Arlington, a little bit better conference. It says away, Texas Arlington at VCU, change game, and there you go, it's changed. Okay, so any games that you want to change in here, make your changes, and then when you're done, hit the advance button. Okay, it'll go back into recruiting because we're still in recruiting. Okay, don't let that throw you off. I am going to try to get to the letter of intent.
You have new mail.
We'll just try to knock out a couple of odds and ends here very quickly. Okay, practice and recruiting. So yes, we do need practice. All right, so here's our practice email. You can officially begin practice 6 weeks before the season opens. Practice continues throughout the season, so set your practice for the week on each Saturday throughout the season. So they're telling you that on Saturdays, the first day of the week, you can change your practice schedule. If you go to the strategy screen, you can set your practice schedule and assign tasks to your assistants. All right, strategy screen right here. Boom. All right, coach assignments. Boom. There's my 3 assistants. Now, without firing an assistant, sometimes you might have an assistant that's the better at 2 or all 3 things. Okay? This guy is a 54 in recruiting and a 51 in player development. 36-30 in offense and defensive schemes. So he's best at offense. He's best at he's tied with defense. He's second best at recruiting. He's best at scouting, and he's best at player development. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch him over to practice, which automatically changes him to scouting. It doesn't hurt me in scouting because, why? We don't have any scholarships this year. It doesn't hurt us at all. So I want to get my best guy now in player development and building up my offense. He's just as good at defense, right? And this guy's my recruiting guy anyway. Okay, so now he is my scout. Well, I really don't need any scouting going on right now, so he can benefit me more. So that's how you would change that. Save changes. Boom. All right, and tips, here's what they do. Scouting gives you the scouting reports and scouting ratings on the other teams for the upcoming games. Okay, he's a 30, he's a 39. Probably at the beginning of the season when practices are over, even though we continue to practice, it will probably be less. I will want more scouting input, so I will change him back to scouting at that time, and then he'll go back to to player development to try to work with him during the season. But right now, when practice is what we're focusing on, yeah, I want my best guy up there. Sorry about that. Offensive strategy. Here's where you determine your offensive formations, and these are your attack formations if you face a zone defense. Okay, do you want to be balanced, inside, outside? Make that choice. Basically, if you favor heavy inside, you're going to be going way down into the post, in the paint, in the lane to your center, your power forward, and that's going to push those guys for inside baskets. A lot of dunks, maybe alley-oops, backing down in the post, things like that. Favor inside, they'll look for those, and then if they're not available, they will take the mid-range jumper. Balanced, hey, we're going to take whatever the defense gives us. Favor outside, we're going to look for the outside jump shot first, unless they just, hey, if they leave my center wide open down there by himself, then I'll throw him a pass. And heavy outside, think the Golden State Warriors. They're just going to chunk up, long-range jumpers and three-pointers for days, and that's going to be, they're just going to run down, and they might get a layup. They could have a fast break for a layup, but they're going to pull up and take the jumper from the outside, basically is what they're going to do. All right, tip. What did we say in the very first video? They love to put these tips in there, and they're all important. Your offensive set your percentage higher if you wish to have a more structured offense, or set the transition offense higher if you wish to allow your players more freedom to create. All right, so North Carolina, very controlled, rigid, pass the ball, structures, running plays. Kentucky with their blue chippers and one and dones, roll the ball out and just, whoever gets the first open shot, take it, right? All right, so offensive sets. A lot of this, now I can't speak for this game, but a lot of this has to do with how good your team is. If you've got really good shooters, give them the freedom. If you don't have really good shooters, or, C, D, F shooters, take the time to run plays, run formations, and try to get better looks to maximize their efforts. I think right now we're going to start off at 50-50. Again, this is practice. Well, actually, this is my strategy. Okay, do you want to, what kind of offense do you want to run? I wish they had. Okay, here we go. So motion. Here's your definitions. So so you can scroll through these and see which ones your team fit better. Okay, set that. Same thing for defense. What does each one mean? What does each one do? What's the focus? What kind of skill set do you need? That's all right here for you to read, and then you go into your roster, evaluate your roster, and change this up to what you want. Now we're at practice, so practice is most important right now. But you kind of need to know what your strategies are going to be, because that's what you're wanting to practice. It doesn't do any good to practice a triangle if you're going to run the Princeton. It doesn't do you any good to practice the motion if you're going to run the flex. Okay, so I'm going to go with the defaults here. I'm not going to really, because I'm not playing this out. This is just for tutorial purposes. Everything has to equal 100%. Practice time all the way across the board equals 100, so both sides. Your offensive sets equal 100, your defensive sets equal 100, and your pressure defense equals 100. Okay, so do you want to run a 2-2-1 half court? Practice that. If you want to run a full court press, practice that. Depends on what you want to try. Syracuse runs the 2-3 zone. Practice that. Again, if you go into your defensive strategy, what is a 2-3 zone? Well, there you go. Or it's called a 2-1-2. It defends the paint, good for defensive rebounding, but gives up open shots at the wings, point, and high posts. So, may not want to play that a lot, but maybe that's if you are weak at center, that may be something that would work for you in your zone. Maybe you do want to run the 2-3 plus a man-to-man. Okay, that's where it comes evaluating your roster, knowing what you've got. So each offense, defense, pressure defense, each has to equal 100 for usage, and then the practice time equals 100 for everything. So you should only be practicing the things that you actually have numbers in. Your breakout attacks, this is if the other team, your opponent, throws that zone at you, okay, then you're practicing on how to beat that. You don't want to not practice that. It's not something you're going to run. It's just how to beat it if they throw it at you. You can see they're not spending a lot of time, but you don't want to come down to the national championship game and be playing Syracuse and have them throw a 2-3 zone at you and have never practiced how to beat it. You may never inbound the ball the whole game. So, you have to practice all of those a little bit. That's why you see a little time, 5 minutes, but NA for the choices. Any changes that you make sure you click Save Changes, and we're going to run practice.
You have new mail.
Now, recruiting is still going on here. Now, if you want to change up your time a little bit to focus on something more, every Saturday, what did it say about practice? Every Saturday you can change this, okay? I'm going to keep it going. But you can go in and tweak these every week. Hey, this week let's focus more on our motion. We're going to use that more than the high post. Let's cut that to 5 minutes and let's update that to 15 minutes, right? Save changes, practice. All right, this week I want to bring both of these back to 10 minutes. I want to spend a little more time on the 1-2-2 zone that I want to be in a defense for. All right, run the week. So you can tweak those every week however you want to, okay? The more time you spend on something, what happens? Anybody? If you said the better you get, you're probably right. I don't know that for a fact. It doesn't say that anywhere, but it is common sense, right? All right, so let's up this to 20 again, drop this to 10, save those changes. Do I have free time? 10, 20, 40, 55, 60, 70, 80, 95. Ooh. So I've got some free time, 5 minutes. Yeah, I think we want to update that. There we go. I wonder if I gave him a break last week, did I? Oh,
You have new mail.
What an
You have
coach.
new mail.
All right. November 6th. Recruiting's going to be a week away. Again, I just kind of wanted to hit practice. I want to get through this as quickly as I can just to make sure there's nothing else to see.
You have new mail. You have new mail. You have new mail.
All right, and we're up to the regular season. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a cut in here, and then we'll pick up with the start of the season in the next video, and that should get us through the rest of the tutorial. Thanks for checking it out. 15 minutes. I told you it would be short, but we did hit two pretty important things. Well, one pretty important thing: the practice and the strategies. So let me make a note of that so I can label it right. Strategy. All right. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.